Q-all.
Yes. K-E-double-L.
Qual.
Qual.
Qual. Sorry, we're discussing on the best ways to say cool. Because obviously, if someone's going to teach somebody how to use the English language, if you want to teach the Englishman how to do it, that'd be great. Hi there, everybody. Welcome along. I know we've got a couple of people already on the YouTube chat. Hello, it's all right. Do you know what? I love the YouTube chat before we actually go live, because everyone kind of like mingles. It's like we're frantically putting the hangout together, and they're just like going, yeah, we're just having appetizers. You know, we're just getting settled. It's great. Let them panic. We're just fine. Yeah, we're over here. Yeah, so yeah. So while we're getting the hors d'oeuvres ready, they're kind of cracking on and saying hi to each other. We've got Michael P, who's saying hi. We've got Andrew, who is stressing out slightly because he's getting himself ready to go to Los Angeles. Los Angeles for Anaheim for next weekend. Except, as you may have heard or seen on my social media as well, for about an 8-hour period last night in the UK, from around 8 to 9 o'clock at night till about 6 o'clock this morning, it just dropped snow again. Another blast from the past, and it's just been incredibly cold. It's really kind of buggered everything up here, so he's struggling to get to his. He's wondering what to do about his flight, but it looks like it's going to be okay. It's just going to be a bit icy and cold. But welcome along. We're going to dive into the rest of it. Michael P is asking where the adult beverages are. Okay, maybe I pushed that. I pushed that analogy a little bit too far. Yes, we will not be serving adult beverages. I do apologize. At least on this particular hangout. When we do the live one in San Diego.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's gonna be first thing in the morning. So we'll have to do like mimosas or
I just keep it rolling. I just keep it rolling from the Sunday, because that way you never have a hangover, because you're never not drunk. It solves all the problems.
I was talking about pre-con.
No. Oh, I'm not doing that again. Yes, we went to Jason Coe's meetup, which he organized. He got the guys from Funko involved. Everybody kind of descended on a bar on the, I think it was a Werewolf on the Tuesday, at which point certainly myself and Caroline got absolutely hammered. And my God, we felt it.
Karaoke was wonderful. I loved it.
Thank you. I've got to try and think of some new tunes to do this year. But yeah, it's a lot of it was a lot of fun. But my God, we felt it. We did. Anyway, so we got Michael P. Good morning from sunny Colorado. Like I say, Andrew English is he's recovering from his day visit to Birmingham. I was going to blag a last-minute press pass to go on the Saturday, at which point they then dropped the Avengers trailer and also opened up the tickets to buy for wherever. At which point I only had a small amount of money in my bank, and I bought the midnight tickets. So yes, I will be going to the midnight screening of Avengers Infinity War on the Tuesday into Wednesday, a full 18 hours before the States. We've still got it. Just a little bit of a margin. Just a margin. But yeah, it's not much. Yeah, it's not a week like usual.
Right. I've got my printer going on in the background because I'm printing off the script today.
Okay.
But when is it happening? When is it dropping in the States?
I think they're out. For Infinity War.
Yeah,
they're out.
The actual date. When is it airing in the States?
It's the 17th. Okay. Well, we'll get into that. That's because today, by the way, Today, we don't have a actual theme to the show. We don't have a specific thing we're going to be talking about. If anybody is a fan of The West Wing, the West Wing covered used to do a couple of its episode runs, did the Big Block of Cheese Day, which was basically President Jackson opened up the doors to the White House, and basically anyone could walk through the door and talk about whatever they wanted to the people in power. He put out a big block of cheese, so people could come along, grab some food or some cheese, and put their concerns or their questions to whoever. That's what we're going to do. It's anything and everything today. So you want to dive in with any topic. We've got the chat room open. Do jump in. April 26th. Sorry, stick another 10 on that. Yeah, April 26th for Avengers. So no, let's dive into that first thing. Avengers trailer dropped. This is trailer 2. It's racked up something like, I want to just make sure I got my numbers right, because I actually said this on the radio earlier on today. Yeah, that's right. 31 million views in 2 days. And it's also broken the record for pre-sale tickets on Fandango. The previous 2 holders for that was Black Panther and Avengers, I want to say Civil War. Basically, their sales over 24 hours was taken by Avengers Infinity War in 6. Basically, it's just blitzed all the records so far. I expect the trailer views to do very nicely. It's a very nice trailer. It's very pretty. Some interesting new views of a couple of our protagonists and also our baddies as well. Well worth checking out. I did do a post on an Englishman in San Diego, but I'm certain if you're watching this, you've seen the trailer. I know my audience. You play to the room. So no, it's a hell of a thing and well worth checking out. We got Leanne D. OMG, that Avengers trailer. We have tickets for Thursday night and Friday. Nice. So you contributed to that ticket sale. Fantastic. We've got ourselves. Yeah, Andrew English is saying April 27th all over the world. Here in the UK, I think it's the day before. And also, like I say, we're going on the 25th into the 26th. So myself, the missus, Neil and Sharon will be doing our usual thing from the Sheffield IMAX and looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. Have you actually had a look at the trailer yourself, Alyssa? Have you managed to see it yet?
I need to revoke my geek credits because I know. What can I say?
You know what? I don't know how we can do this. I think you can. I'd like to screen share, and I think you can actually.
You're going to do this to me again.
I want to see if you can actually screen share YouTube. I'm certain that there is a plugin where you can do it. Anyway.
Okay. Well, let me explain why I have not done. I am packing. One of the topics that I'm going to be, kind of briefly addressing today is packing and refining collections. Andrew brought this up in a pre-show tweet that we had, but I'm heavy into that at this point, simply because on the 29th, I am packing up all of my collections, my super important stuff, like my comics and my artwork and those kinds of things, and driving them down 9 hours away to store them in a storage facility in Philadelphia. So I am heavy into packing up first editions and going through stuff and saying, do I really want to collect Funko Pops? I exactly right. So
it's come to that time.
Yeah, it's come to that time. I have one box of Stan Lee's, and which is another topic that we'll be addressing later on today too. I've got my Stan Lee's and my Conans, and the Indiana Jones and Kylo Ren that I'm going. Of course, those are going to be kept, but I don't know if I need the Firefly Pops anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. What can you say? So, if anybody wants,
Carol. Yeah, I'm just gonna say Caroline's not watching this, but I know for a fact right now she's just gone. Her ears have picked up, and she's gone.
Yes, somewhere. Well,
somewhere.
I am not above doing, some sort of a giveaway for all of this stuff.
I'm just gonna say you've got some avid followers, and I'm certain that they'd be more than willing to to help you
out. The problem is getting them out of here. I have still got, speaking of that, I do need to get, there's one person whose name I need to get their address for so I can send them stuff for the food challenge. They're winning their prizes from the food challenge. I've got Miss Kitty and Mark, who I'm going to be for long-time listeners, I'm going to be seeing them in April. So I'm going to bring those to them. But there's one cook, I think his name was, that won something, and I need to get his address and get those sent off to him, because I am delinquent and I am bad, and this is my problem. And this is why I have a hesitation about doing some sort of a giveaway for all of the pops. However, if somebody were to offer me, a certain amount of money, I probably would just package them up and send them off.
So there you go. She's not even just talking about subtle bribery now. It's just a case of just pay me. That's the just take them. Take them. Okay, fair enough. Well, I'll tell you what, we kind of touched on it there with a brief mention about Stan Lee, so you can kind of dive straight into that. Do you want to do the coverage on this one, or do you want me to do a little bit of backgrounds?
First off, your microphone is breaking up, and I do want to say one thing here, and I'm going to bring my phone right up to the thing just so the people can see this. So we can get the full effect of, while you say you have white stuff, I have way more white stuff than you, and it's colder out. So there. Fine.
I will try and endeavor to show you what I'm talking about. But okay, go on.
Okay. So you're still breaking up with the audio.
Okay, hang on a second.
We
had this issue last time, didn't we?
Yeah, you got to switch to the internal mic, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. Leanne is saying she wants the Firefly pops.
Oh, you've shot yourself in the foot on this one.
Yeah, exactly. No, not at all. If I were to turn my camera around, people would be horrified at the mess that I am actually working under. Regardless, the Daily Beast, if people haven't seen it, the Daily Beast put out an excellent article on Stan Lee. And
carry on.
Put out an excellent article on what has transpired with Stan Lee since Joan, his wife's death. Basically, they're saying a lot of the vultures are circling. We're getting an echo too.
No, it's me. It's me.
Yeah. And it is a worthy read. I think back to when I believe it was Matt from San Diego Comic Fest was on and was talking about the lead. Stan Lee's lead bodyguard, who was less than well thought of.
No, it's not his bodyguard. It's his manager.
His manager.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, yeah, he kind of reinforced a post that had been put up regarding his manager, regarding his daughters, regarding a couple of promoters that had been dealing with him. His manager, by all accounts, had been incredibly nefarious. We're talking fraudulent checks. We're talking deposits on a beachside condo. We're talking like $1.5 million going missing into a charity foundation. And Matt was talking very much about these allegations, at which point there was a post that was put up this week by the Daily Beast which refuted a number of these, stating that the manager was not as had basically been effectively adopted by Stan over the last 6 months. That the guy was basically getting him out of bed in the morning. He was effectively a surrogate son at this point. At which point there was a number of artists. There was Bill Sienkiewicz. There's a whole bunch on Twitter been talking backwards and forwards. And it really does seem that no one really knows at this point what the actual story is. I think the only person that does know is possibly Stan, and he isn't saying much to anybody. It's just such a mess. It's so frustrating. It's when I'm sat there and I'm seeing the news about the Euro Millions rattling by on screen. I'm just going, I wish I could win that, so I could just show up at his door, say, come with me for 6 months. I'll look after you. Look, you don't have to worry about a penny. Let's just take you away from the whole situation. Because right now it just seems like the vultures are circling, and it's annoying and frustrating.
I have to say that it seems, and I'm working on getting the link up for people so that they could actually take a read of this when we're offline. It actually seems as though that there's one gentleman who is actually doing something to help him, and that was the collector. There's a collector that of Marilyn Monroe memorabilia and Abraham Lincoln stuff, and has a is high powered, and he seems as though that he is actually trying to solve the problems. I have a high degree of respect for somebody who comes in and hires a forensic accountant, to go through things and to track things down. Personally, I think that's the first thing you've got to do is you've got to try and level the playing field. And, you don't try and get access to all of this, the money, the accounts and all of that. What you try and do is figure out what's happening. And so that's, to my mind, that's, I'm heartened by that fact. But that was brought up in this
yes, the Daily Beast article, yeah,
in the Daily Beast, and that was a few days ago. That was on the 10th. So, and it's now the 18th, and there's been plenty. I'm sure, as you were saying, there's been plenty of people who've been, have their own opinions about things, about what the problems are. And
I said the word vulture, and it's actually the headline to this Daily Beast article. It is worth checking out. If anything, just try and if anyone can kind of work through the mire of what is actually going on, it would be very impressive to work out. Because it's just an absolute car crash at the moment.
Yeah, to be honest with you, it seems like everything just needs to stop, and they need to figure out where things are going. And the money outlays, aside from the daily maintenance and upkeep of primary residence, just stops.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll be able to do that, and that there will be some recouping of the market share that Stanley has before, so that we might be able, hopefully, I'd love to see him at conventions, and not so much doing the multitude of signings and photo ops. While I would dearly love a photo op with him again, I would just love to see him, on stage talking. His one of the most memorable highlights is him talking with one of the image creators at which one was he? At ECC, he was the he's a very loud and rambunctious gentleman, and even just a conversation he had at Boston Comic-Con last year, that it was nice to see him on stage and as together as he is. After all, he's 95.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's
Todd McFarlane. Yes, thank you, Dan. Todd McFarlane. Oh, that was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Convo.
So Lister of Smeg is putting a very good point. It's so sad to see a great man in this situation because of so many truly horrible people that won't be, but should be ashamed of themselves. Absolutely right. Absolutely. I think that's the thing that I mean, the question I put to the people on Twitter was, where are the protection? Where are his contemporaries? Where's Marvel? Where's Disney in all of this? That should be able to kind of step in and intercede. There's clearly the warning signs there. That we're hearing it now in the mainstream in media. It's not just behind closed doors anymore. People know that there's a problem. So it's just proving very awkward. So okay. Do check it out. It's on the dailybeast.com, and we'll tweet out the link to that. It does give a pretty comprehensive idea of where we are at the moment, but it's still, I suspect, only scratching the surface of what we could know about this entire situation. And like you say, let's just hope that Stan, not only his financial standing, because the amount of money that seems to have just vanished at this point is just ridiculous.
Karen says, where are his children? He has one child, JC, who is not very adept at money either, unfortunately. I did want to segue into the fact that the Hangout has changed their format in so that the chat boxes are listed and viewable after the show.
Oh, cool.
Is it, once the show is done. So this is, you can go back in and read through things. And I have put the link up to that Daily Beast article. It's in an abbreviated form, and it starts with GOO dot, the URL, because YouTube won't allow me to post links in the chat, which I can understand. Spam and all that, but it is there if people want to go back to it. I'm sure that the Daily Beast is going to have it up for quite a while on that.
Right. Let's go to our next topic, and I know that we've got a script, but I do want to jump in with a couple of things. Sorry, I haven't. I know this is where Alyssa goes. So what's the point of the script? Because I'm just going to go in and throw things in. But no, because we have had one or two items that have popped up this week, especially regarding...
Actually, no.
Go on.
No. What I say is, oh, good. I get a eating break. Now I can take...
Yeah, that's it. There you go. Okay. This, I think I will dial up a page so at least people can see it. This is regarding... an email that I got, which I was very touched by, from the guys behind Diamond Comic Distribution. Basically, they turned around and said, "We really enjoy An Englishman in San Diego. We find what you do useful, and it's all about the fans, and we really appreciate it." And I went, "Thank you." I nearly teared up. It was hilarious. However, the email was talking about something in particular, a total prize sweepstake, which is being organized by them. And it's a hell of a prize. So let me see if I can just bring that up on screen. Yes, this is a total prize sweepstake, which basically allows somebody and a close friend who would obviously become even closer the chance to win a round-trip airfare to San Diego from within the US, 5 nights hotel stay at the Manchester Grand Hyatt, and also 4-day passes to San Diego Comic-Con. I've yet to edit this, by the way, because I did actually say that it doesn't have preview night, at which point I got an email back from him saying, you know what? Yes, they do actually have preview night involved. So basically, it's the total package. It's something where you go. It's basically like a large sweepstake where you just dive in on their Glean campaign, fill in a couple of forms, jump in on their social medias and share on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and subscribe to a couple of e-newsletters with a drawing pool. And yeah, you can get the chance to win yourself badges. Now, I appreciate that pretty much everybody who will be taking part in this hangout will more than likely have their badges. I know that I appreciate the whole preaching to the choir, but at the end of the day, there is also the fact that there are some people that don't. So do share and let people know about this giveaway, because Diamond Comic Distribution really have gone all out to put this drawing together. It's a hell of a thing.
Is it open to people in the UK?
It's not. It's US only.
Just because that has been a point of contention in the past.
And we're not bitter about that. But yes, it's US only. But I thought I'd put it out. It's worthwhile checking out, because it is a hell of a draw, and it's always fun to kind of pass on these competitions. So do spread the word. Diamond Comic Distribution. It's a San Diego Comic-Con total prize pack, and do head to an Englishman in San Diego.com, and all the information is on there. Right,
since we're off script, where are we going next?
The next thing on the menu.
Oh,
to you.
Yeah. Are we really? We're actually going to get to the media before a half an hour.
No, the Amazing Spider-Man, I think, is an interesting story. While I quickly unplug and turn the light on.
Okay.
So you can see me. Away you go. Away you go.
Absolutely. One thing that caught my eye this week was an auction for the Amazing Spider-Man, the first appearance of Spider-Man at Comic Link. And it was the Amazing Fantasy number 15, the classic that I'm sure everybody has seen. It's a 9.0, and it brought in $415,000. This is for a 9.0. I was kind of like, wow, so the definitely the market for those high-end, older, golden, silver age comics, silver early bronze age comics is strong out there. CGC sold a 9.1 15 Amazing Fantasy 15 over 10 years ago, and it brought in $60,000. So in the course of 10 years, it's increased, I don't know, tenfold, eightfold, something in that nature. A 9.4 sold in 16 for $454,000. So in a 9.6 in 2011 sold for 1.1 million. That has got to be some kind of, I think that's some kind of a record out there. A 9.6 is the highest grade comic, Amazing Fantasy comic there is. There are no 9.8s. I'm assuming if a 9.8 came up, it would be well north of the 1 million mark at this point, probably into the 2 million. Just saying, because it is so very rare. It seems as though that the market for these kinds of things is still staying strong. I just thought it was worth a note so that people would understand, the history of things.
No, it's I find it fascinating. People talk about the kind of the collectible nature of comics and how it has kind of died off in recent years. But it is these classic golden age comics that are making quite considerable cash. And that's the book, Fantasy, 15th of August, and Spider-Man in full swing. It's one of those lottery dreams, isn't it? To grab your hands on your sticky hands on one of those.
I think somebody found, I don't know, maybe a half dozen years ago, somebody found found one of these Amazing Fantasy 15 comics, minus the cover, in the wall or something, and it sold for and outrageous. Even some of the older comics. I've been tempted to buy some early Bronze, late Silver Age comics that didn't have a cover on them, that were the key issues. So even those, that are at the 0.5, I think my Daredevil one is like a 2.0. Even those comics, if they're a key issue, they're worth having, and they're worth holding on to. And that kind of segues into my thing about excuse me, sorry about that.
You okay? Clearly not.
I am okay. I just got something caught the wrong way. But for packing up and refining collections, which is, going into and deciding what you want to keep and what you want to get rid of, I think is, I'd much rather have a collection that is focused and with key issues than a gazillion long boxes that are hellacious to move.
Yeah.
I am in the process of getting rid of all of my long boxes and putting them in short boxes.
Something tells me my Howard the Duck 52 is not going to be worth a considerable amount of money. So I think I'm buggered when it comes to my collection. Never mind. Yes. Fair enough. Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Let's do a couple of WonderCon updates. Of course, they have been continuing to churn out the Talkin blog updates. We've had ourselves the WonderCon quick guide released. That came out, I believe, on Tuesday, which actually had a usual nugget in there, which is always handy to keep an eye on, which is for 2019 WonderCon. The show continues to grow and grow, and certainly if you've not been in recent years, 2019 may be your good chance to go. A date's been put forward for 2019, which is Friday, March the 29th to Sunday, March 31st. And as reported by the unofficial blog, it does mean that for the third year in a row, convention is going to be bypassing Easter, which is set for April 21st. And it also shifts the convention date a week later than this year's event. At this point, obviously, the convention is getting ramped up for next weekend. And it also is getting itself ready for exactly what we can expect from the new expansion of the convention center in Anaheim. Obviously, it's all going to be shipshape for next year, so it's looking good. But obviously, for this year, it's just to see how the building is going to cope with the influx. It's 200. Was it? Let's have a look. 1.8 million square feet. So it is continuing to grow and grow. So I mean, I'd love to go to WonderCon. I really would. And I'd love to give it a go. And who knows, maybe 2019. I keep saying it, 2019 might be the year. Also announced this week was also, well, actually not this week, today was the food trucks, which obviously is a big thing for people who are wanting to keep nicely fed during their trip. Considering that you've got that massive concourse leading up to the front of the convention center, and the food trucks that they put down are always of the highest quality. Yeah, it's one of those things that is actually worthwhile as a bit of a news thing. So thank you very much indeed to CCI for putting that up. Let's see if I can dig that out. Oh no, that was yesterday's Talkin tip. I do apologize. Today's was all about the RFID badges, which they haven't made any significant changes to how RFID is going to be operated at WonderCon. What they have just posted is a quick refresher course on how to use them. It is a case of tap in, tap out, as always. But it was where we first saw Comic-Con International use RFID. So it's where they've kind of got it sweet as a nut at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
well,
Go on.
I certainly hope that you're able to come in 2019 to WonderCon. I am also hoping that I will be residing in San Diego at that point, so the trip up will be easy. And but we'll see. That is my hope. Still looking for a roommate for a situation starting August 1st in San Diego. If anybody hears of anything, that would be wonderful. Just on a personal note. But the other thing that is happening to me, and I'm sure it's happening to a lot of other people at this point, is what conventions are you planning on going to over the course of the summertime? I mean, while I've nailed down my spring cons, I haven't even really started to think about my summer cons. And I usually have got my apartment booked for New York Comic-Con in October, and I am nowhere close to even thinking about October yet. How have you started to think about your summer conventions after?
I haven't started thinking about the summer. I haven't started thinking about the summer conventions. There's a couple of conventions at the very back end of the year which I've started to think about. I have got press for MCM London, the summer edition, although I don't know if I'm actually going to be back in the UK to actually physically attend it. We're seeing what happens. We're going to get that worked out. Basically, over the next couple of next week or so, I'm going to be planning what the rest of my year is going to look like. I'm looking more towards the next couple of months, to be honest, because we've got a couple of conventions here in the UK, which I am going to be attending as a panel host, which I'm looking forward to. Thank you. We've got a inaugural event that's taking place in on the south coast called Portsmouth Comic-Con, which has been organized by a good friend of mine called Joel Meadows, who is the guy behind Tripwire magazine. Here in the UK, Tripwire has been a pop culture and comics niche magazine for going on nearly 25 years now. And it was always something that was on the racks next to the comics in Forbidden Planet when I used to go in, when it was in Leeds on the Hedgerow. And yeah, Tripwire knows its stuff. Oh, Joel certainly knows their stuff. And they've got a brilliant lineup for this year, for their first one down in Portsmouth. And yes, I'm going to be down there for the 2 days as a panel host. I'm also going to be hopefully live streaming and recording a number of the panels. So looking forward to that. So that's that one. We've got MCon, which is in Nottingham. I'm going to be the panel host there as well. It's more of a pop culture con. They haven't determined what their panels are going to be yet, but considering you've got Star Trek Discovery guys, you've got Doctor Who people, you've got a couple of guys from Buffy, including Nicholas Brandon, coming over. There's a whole bunch of panels that could be put on. And basically what happens is we open up the doors at 10 o'clock. We have half-hour panel and then 15-minute break. Half-hour panels. We have about 5 panels throughout the day, and we just have a lot of fun. So there's that, which is going to happen. I've been told there is the possibility that I will have panels at Thought Bubble, but they're still trying to put that together. But who knows? Thought Bubble will be happening later on in the year, as usual, and it is still probably the biggest comics-led convention that the UK has. I'd like to go to Lakes again, because that is still one of my favorite kind of fine art. You know, the people that use the words sequential art when it comes to comics, it's that kind of festival, if you know what I mean. But it's still fun. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of like a Village Fate version of San Diego Comic-Con. Lots of little venues, doing lots of little topics, which you can then just bounce around the entire town of Kendall. But it's in a very... When you guys in America think about England, that's what Kendall is. You know, it's all very nice and twee and lots of rolling hills and, you know, yeah. Whereas here in the UK, we just think that's expensive. But still, it is a lot of fun. The guys from the podcast for Lakes actually interviewed me last week. So if you go to the Comic Art Festival podcast, I'm interviewed on there. It's actually a pretty good interview with the guy behind Toronto Comic Art Festival as well, which is Christopher Butcher. It's actually a good episode, even if I'm on it. So, you know, do check it out. And the other one that I definitely am confirmed for doing panels this year is Meanwhile Comic-Con, which is in Chichester, again on the South Coast. It was their first year last year. It's a very small con, but it's all about comics, and I had a lot of fun. I really had a lot of fun doing it, even though I was absolutely blitzed with the worst cold I've had in decades. We had the guys behind Judge Dredd. We had the guys behind Tank Girl. We had Sonia Leong talking about manga. We had manga and anime. We had Alison Sampson talking about horror art. She's the artist behind Winnebago Graveyard for Image. That was brilliant, because nobody really knew who Alison was, so nobody really showed up for the panel. So there was like 6 or 7 of us. So we, instead of her behind the table, we just kind of like got the chairs together in the audience and just had a chat. And then people were walking by and just coming in, and it became the best fireside chat I'd had in ages. Brilliant. So no, I'm really getting into hosting panels, and that's what I'd really like to make that the next thing I kind of really get into.
So you're going to be doing, so you do the web hosting, the vlogs, the hangouts, the hosting panel. So what's going to suffer?
What's going to suffer? My health, my love life, my bank balance, and my hairline. No, okay. Wait, too late. So no, it's going to be a good year. It's going to be good. Let's see what. Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at that, looking at the list, one of the ideas that I'm having about is instead of going to New York Comic-Con, as I have for the past gazillion years, it seems like 5 years, I'm thinking that maybe what I'm going to do is hang around SoCal and just do all of the fall conventions that are happening between LA South. I think that would be just introducing myself to the area and getting a little bit of time under my feet, simply because New York for me it won't be a drive to con as it has been in the past. It will be, I'll have to fly, obviously. And that just adds that whole other level of complexity to everything. So if people know about any of the fall cons, August fall cons that look like they may be fun, I'm definitely up for a list and see how it all goes. I've got to play things by ear at this point. Hopefully things are going to get more settled for me in August, so I'll be able to start planning stuff.
Cool.
So
okay. I'll do my next topic, and then you can go back to yours. We'll bounce backwards and forwards and go like that. A convention that took place this weekend here in the UK was MCM Birmingham. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is obviously, as we've talked about here on the Hangout before, MCM has been bought out by ReedPop, certainly here in the UK. Their UK conventions have now been taken under the umbrella of ReedPop. And we've seen really the first changes to an MCM show that ReedPop are influencing. Certainly Comic Village has been taken up a notch. We had David Finch coming over from the States, who's a Marvel artist. So the level of international talent has been raised a little bit. I can imagine certainly for the London Con, Comic Village is going to be taken up even further, which I'm absolutely jazzed about. The level of interactivity, certainly in terms of their Twitter feed, has been taken up a notch. It's very much more slicker and more professional. Also, the updates that they present, the vibe that they're generating around the weekend was really good. Do check out the hashtag MCMBHN. BHM, sorry, Birmingham. Yeah, BHM 18. Do check out that hashtag for all the stuff that they've been getting up to this weekend. Mark Shepherd appeared on the Saturday live stage, because the way that they do their kind of panels, as well as a large live stage, which is in a kind of like an arena type setup. They also have a small little streaming stage right in the middle of the convention floor, which can get a bit messy as people are kind of like everyone just crowds around it, and trying to move around that area can be a bit awkward. But it was all live streamed to Twitch, and I believe it was also trying to be live streamed to YouTube as well. It was a lot of fun, and it was great to watch what MCM were doing to just take it up a notch. So yeah, let's have a look at this. MCM Birmingham was back to its usual area, unlike last one was elsewhere. It was, from what I could see, it was a lot of fun. I'm hearing reports. I mean, Andrew English is talking about, and I kind of knew about this one as well, about Michael Rooker. In fact, a number of guests this year decided, you know what, we're bored now. Let's do something different. Grabbing hold of the microphone and just resting the panel off the panel hosts. It's not, the thing is, I know that this is where you turn around and say, well, you've just been talking about hosting panels. That would be still one of my favorite things, that it's just out of my hands and it's all about them, which it should be anyway. And I mean, for example, Mark Shepherd was on the streaming stage. He was supposed to be sat on stage answering questions and just sitting there and doing a usual interview. Nope. Grabs the roving microphone and off he went. And he was so like, what do you want? Just in people's faces. And it was just so much fun. Some interesting little tidbits about some supernatural behind the scenes stories, which I'm not too sure the producers would be too keen on reaching the wider world, but it was such a fun panel. And yeah, lots of stuff.
Most of the people, most of the Michael Rookers, the people, the personalities, most of them are very outgoing and very used to controlling the stage. And it makes complete sense that they would step up once they felt comfortable in the medium of this comic convention venues that we have, and panel situation, that they would step up and take control of it. And they're going to do a stream of consciousness thing, if they're on, that is so that can be so fun, like Rooker. I mean, he's just a joy to watch. There's a few people that you just have to see those panels because they're always entertaining. So that, that's definitely one of them. And I'm glad that people are feeling, that the actors are feeling so comfortable, and that they can actually just do this. It's a joy to be part of one of those panels.
Okay. Tell you what, we've got the Q&A open, and before we move on to the next topic, which tell you what, by the end of the hangout, let's have a couple of comments. Where are you going? What have you got planned? I mean, we've got one or two people who are talking about what they've got going up. We've got Michael P going to Fan Expo Canada, which should be fun. Yeah, do jump in. Let us know what panels, what cons, certainly in the summer, that you've got intended. Is there any smaller ones that you've got in mind? Is there any that you'd like us to kind of like showcase here on the hangout? Do let us know. Yeah, lots of fun.
We promise not to pester you to do a live report from them,
but we will do.
Yes.
So that's just the way it's going to work. So yeah.
But we'd love to get at least a few minutes in with people.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you are going, let's talk about that again. We have mentioned it on a couple of episodes. If you are going to a convention and you do get the chance, certainly say 10 o'clock in the morning or in the afternoon, wherever you are in the US or even here in the UK, if you go into a convention and you would like to spread the word about it, let us know. We'll talk about, behind the scenes, we'll talk about how you can get on the hangout and share it with everyone, because we like living vicariously through people. So please do let us know what's going on.
Absolutely. The real life things we do for our geek passions.
Go for it.
I think is the just kind of the central theme of the show today is what we do to go to conventions and to enjoy geek culture and pop culture and all of that sort of thing. One of the things that caught my eye, I was reading a bunch on the LA Times, and this morning, just trying to get, bring myself up to speed because I've been sidetracked a lot. One of the articles they had was 5 female tired roles that we can do without. I'll try and post a link to it in a few minutes. Actually, I think I've got it ready, all set to go here. Let me just get that up for you and hit enter, and there you go. What it does is it outlines 5 different stereotypes that we being a strong females are in general just tired of seeing. And I'm sure that this same list can be made for men, gay folks, people of color. This is not by any means just a female thing. It's just, this is the one list that I happen to key into because that's what I'm aware of. The long-suffering wife being number 1. I think that the classic example was if people saw Sully, Sully's wife, who just, has that look about her. The next one is the sexual conquest role, which we're just kind of, can we get over it? It's not all about the guy getting the girl in bed. There is something more to it than just the bed thing. The cold career woman who, starts off very strict and regimented, and by the end of the movie, you see her with free flowing hair and enjoying life. It's been there, done that. Let's move on. The fourth long woman's female role that we could do without is the rape victim who is an inspiration. And while people who go through trauma certainly are an inspiration, it's not all about that. You can be inspiring without having been raped. If I can go there. And the last one is the plucky girl child role, which yes, there are inspiring younger folk, but they are just the boy childs are just as inspiring as the girl kids are at times. So that was one of those interesting things that I thought was just, and now for something completely different. Maybe if we start seeing those, the roles that break out of those characters, like Wonder Woman, for example, broke out of those 5 characters, typical female characters.
Those tropes, yeah.
Yeah, those tired tropes. And, it will inspire us, and we'll spend money at the box office. Surprise how that works.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because I watched Annihilation. I finally got around to it, guys. I know that you've been pestering me for a while on this one. It's finally dropped on Monday here in the UK, and I watched it on Tuesday. Number 1, it stuck in my head so hard. We talk about Arrival. We talk about original sci-fi. This is original sci-fi. It was just so impressive. It so much so that I went shopping the next day and spotted the original book on the shelf, and I just went and bought it. This thing was just in my head, and it says a lot about that particular film that did that. But the characters in there, you had the warrior woman, you had the nervous academic, you had the closed off psychologist. I'd almost say that those 5 characters were tropes. and it says a lot about the order in which they were picked off as well, which kind of it just kind of really, it kind of bothered me a bit. Yeah, but as a film, absolutely holds up, and I would recommend checking that out.
I'm glad to hear that. I've got to find a way of seeing it, because since it aired in the theaters, it's not on the streaming networks, and I'm sure there is a way of seeing it. And just to kind of step back into the topic of the conversation, away from Annihilation, that's why I bring all of this stuff up, is so that we can begin to be comfortable enough talking about it, so that I can ask my friends of color, hey, what's up with this? I don't understand it. And they'll be able to talk to me in a real way, and guys can say, hey, I don't understand this. I had to say to a really good friend of mine, I was upset about something, and that he had done, and I was talking about it, and he kept saying, calm down, just calm. And every time he would say that, I would get more and more angry, because I didn't think he was hearing me. So I finally had to tell him, stop saying calm down. That just gets me more pissed off. It was, and he's married too. So I'm like, didn't your wife tell you this already? But I am glad to hear about Annihilation. I want to, as soon as that comes, hopefully that'll come to Netflix soon, and we'll get on it.
Yeah, it came to Netflix here in the UK, and it definitely holds up.
Good.
So there we go.
Good. I love her work. Anyway, so it'll be fun to the lead characters, of course, whose name I can't remember.
I want to kind of let's move things along, because I want to try and make it a little bit shorter show than usual as well. Because we haven't got a dedicated.
I was going to go into Santa Clarita's Diet.
Go for it.
Start with the television stuff. If people don't know, speaking of Netflix, that season 2 of Santa Clarita's Diet, starring Drew Barrymore, speaking of another interesting female actor that I love watching. If you didn't get a chance to watch the half-hour sitcom season 1 last year, when it dropped, go back and watch it. It is absolutely hilarious. I am not a sitcom fan, but this just kind of, the writing is good. It turns everything on its head. It's a different take on zombies, and it's just fun. So I'm really looking forward to season 2 next Friday. With
any opportunity to have Drew Barrymore on screen, because she's just a bundle of joy. I love her.
Exactly. Tonight we've got a new show starring Alan Cummings. He's kind of one of those quirky character actors. If you can't automatically draw up his face, it's on CBS. And it's a procedural show, so it's going to be mystery of the week kind of stuff. But Cummings is always fun to watch. So if the writing is halfway decent, and it's on CBS, so it should be. Instinct could be a decent show to at least tune into, and see if you enjoy it, kind of thing. And I don't know if people follow, and I don't know about this. Andrew English is saying the Spy Kids guy.
Well, you see, I've not seen Spy Kids, and I also don't know many people that have. So I go to Nightcrawler from X-Men 2. But very good actor.
So it should be fun. If folks who are more familiar with the anime genre will know about Dragon Ball Super on Crunchyroll, I feel hardly qualified to say anything about it. One of my co-writers on the weekly television show article that we do is pretty rabid into it. Really likes this, so he's been talking about the Dragon Ball Super finale that's going to be happening. Apparently there's concern that the Crunchyroll's servers are going to crash when it gets released. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah, so Andrew English is saying Dragon Ball Super last 2 episodes of the season is concluding soon. And Scott said, yes, that's me. Yes, I was referring to you, Scott, absolutely. So I hope I did Dragon Ball Super justice. Let me know if I didn't, and I'll try and do better next on the next anime series. But X-Files is ending again.
This could be the actual final nail in the coffin, surely.
I didn't even tune into the premiere of it. So, yeah. and from what I understand, the lead female character is saying that she does not want to continue. Yeah. So I think we're done with that, which I'm kind of okay with, but that's just me. Other people may be. I will say that the one of the few shows that I am going to try and really catch live this week is Krypton on the Sci-Fi Channel on Wednesday. That, yeah, by all accounts.
I wasn't or haven't been sold on that show until good friends of the Hangout and also nerds everywhere on Twitter. If you are a card-carrying nerd, and this is where I see plenty of people on the chat room going, yes, good people. We've got Lauren from Marvel Reports, and also Katrina Dennis, who also has written for StarWars.com. They contributed to a short, kind of like a primer to Krypton, but also talked about the history of Superman on screen, talked about the 80 years of Superman, talked about how Krypton has never really been explored to some degree. It's kind of always been left a little ambiguous for creators in the comics to kind of really get into, and this is going to be the first time that people are going to get to see Krypton certainly expanded from the Man of Steel universe, because that's the jumping off point. It's a great primer. We'll try and find the link for it because it's well worth watching. It's 15 minutes out of your time, and it's well worth checking out.
That sounds really good, and I love the concept of the prequel that's done far enough behind so you don't have to go, how does this fit in?
Well, that was the thing. Like I say, I was thinking it was going to be a little bit like Caprica with Battlestar Galactica. It's just too far removed, except it's got Adam Strange in it, and he's from contemporary Earth, and he's gone back. And if something doesn't happen on Krypton, then Superman doesn't live. So there's this tie-in with, it's not just a show in the past, it's also about the showing the future. And I just went, that's so bloody clever. That's so clever. Yeah, I'm down with that.
I loved Adam Strange as when I was growing up. I was, I was reading the comics from when I was short, and I loved Adam Strange. So yes, that is wonderful. I did not know that he was making appearances in Krypton. Yay!
Yeah.
Yes,
you've also got
linked up.
Yeah, I will do.
That tweet.
I'll try and find that. And also, you've Brainiac is the big bad, and as Swag Collector puts, he does look genuinely scary. It looks good. I think the one thing that really struck me as well, just looking at just this behind the scenes video, the production value. All of a sudden, I just went, you remember when we saw all the behind the scenes stuff, and then when we finally saw the Inhumans, and it looked like it had been knocked together over the weekend. It just looks so cheap. This looks like they've kept the sets from Man of Steel and used them. The millions of dollars that they're spending on the production value looks stunning. And yeah, I am absolutely up to it. It was 30 minutes worth, apparently. Oh no, hang on, we recorded a special on Krypton that was 30 minutes. Thank you, Angela. Yeah, I think there's like a little primer that I saw. It was just like an edited version of it that was showed up on YouTube. I think this 30-minute thing is something that's been on Sci-Fi.
Right, it might have aired last week on the Sci-Fi channel, just as a pre. So it's probably 20 minutes long, given the fact that it's it was a half an hour show, and I did not watch it. And so, unfortunately, but the production values on some of the other shows from Sci-Fi are certainly right up there. Thinking about Magicians and Expanse, those, they bring it. There's no wham, slap together effects going on there at all. At least in my opinion, that I can see, an uneducated opinion. On demand, Angela Copley, Michael P. says that you can watch it on demand if you don't have it recorded on your DVRs. So that sounds good. That, aside from a couple of other shows that are happening, we've got things like there's the Smithsonian is doing a Wonder Woman show, which Amazon's Science Channel is doing a Silicon Valley show. We mentioned Krypton. Freeform is wrapping up Beyond, which is a sci-fi show that they are doing. ABC has got Station 19 coming on, which looks pretty just kind of normal. Requiem is dropping on Netflix. Sword Guy, it's an animation show again. So Scott will help me here. I'm looking at the at the Q&A. Sword Guy, Gai, the animation. Complete first season is dropping. A legendary infernal sword and the fate of humanity. So there's a bunch of other shows, other little shows that are not, I shouldn't say little shows, but other shows that are happening that are of non-geek relevance. But the highlights are definitely Krypton, Santa Clarita's Diet, Dragon Balls. And I got to think I'm going to put Instinct in there too, just because it's got Alan Cummings in it. So that's the week in TV.
Fair enough. Very quickly, let's go through a couple of the comments that came up on the chat room. People talking about the conventions that they are going to this year. Andrew Dickinson, yes, he's very excited about WonderCon. He's got the smiley face on because he has just been harping on about this. I'm hoping that he's able to join us with a little bit of a thing next week. I have talked to him about coming on the show, but he's wondering if there's going to be a panel clash about something that he wants to go and check out, and also the signal at Anaheim. It's just a nightmare, but we talked about that last week. Sir Lister of Smeg at Comic-Con, or San Diego Comic-Con, and only San Diego Comic-Con. Caroline Donegan, I know I've pronounced that wrong. Donegan. I'm going to go with Donegan. Caroline Donegan is going to Ottawa Comic-Con and Fan Expo Canada. Dan Berry is going to WonderCon, Silicon Valley, and San Diego Comic Fest. We've got Sarita P, the Great Philadelphia Comic-Con. I'm sorry, but it's got the words "the Great Philadelphia Comic-Con." That automatically sounds so cool. So yeah, I'm done with that. Leanne D.
Wait a minute, I gotta ask Sarita P. Is that one the new Reed Pop show that's happening in the fall? Is that or is this a different convention in Philadelphia? I
don't know, but with the title called the Great Philadelphia Comic-Con, I'm hoping everyone's in corsets and it looks like the London exhibition or something. That's what I'm hoping for. Leanne D is only going to do San Diego Comic-Con this year unless someone good comes to Alamo Comic-Con or Austin. Michael B. P has got the longest sentence on this thread so far. Denver Comic-Con, ATX in Austin, Fan Expo, WorldCon 76, which is the World Science Fiction Convention, Fan Expo Canada, and New York Comic-Con. The boy is a busy chap. Leanne D. Oh, she's also forgotten she's doing San Japan this year. Okay, not heard of that one, so that's okay. I've looked into that one. Andrew English is doing a whole bunch of conventions here in the UK. Cos Expo in Reading. I've heard about this show. They've been in touch, and I want to try and put something up on the website about this thing. Cos Expo. If any, admittedly, mostly because if you actually see the word Cos Expo, you've got sex in there. It caught my eye. It caught my eye. It's obviously about cosplay, but it just caught my eye. Anyway, MCM London in May, Collectomania in June, San Diego Comic-Con, London Super Comic-Con.
Okay. You don't understand. I'm like blushing. You're making me blush.
Hey, listen, wait till I get onto my review of Ready Player One.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. TF Nation in August, MCM London in October, MCM Birmingham in November. That's another long list. So that's pretty cool. Angela Copley, Michael, you will love ATX Festival. So yeah, give that a go. Super Cat Chick is going to a couple of smaller cons, Conquest, which is a sci-fi fantasy convention, and Crypticon, which is a horror con in July. We'll probably also add New York Comic-Con. So yeah, there's just so many.
Sarita P says that the Great Comic-Con in Philadelphia is indeed the new Repop show. That's I have to put that one as a possibility on my list, also, just because I'm so curious as to. I love going to the first year of shows. You really get to kind of see where people are coming from. But that's an amazing list of shows that all of our watchers are going to. I have to say I'm a bit jealous of all of you.
Yes. you and me both on this one. And then we got into the television stuff. Swad Collector quite correctly puts, don't forget Lost in Space.
Yes. I don't, but that's not happening this week, right? I don't think that's happening quite yet.
I thought that was pretty soon. We'd have to check that.
Yeah. I'm going to be searching. You talk.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Very quickly, then I'll do a very quick 5-minute spoiler-free review of Ready Player One. Oh yes. Went to see it at a screening very early this morning. Did the run through the snow to get to the cinema, which I went to see. Only see it on a 2D screen, but it was still big enough for me to get a sense of the film, and also to get an idea of what I thought of it. Right, 5 minutes. Let's start the clock then. Start the clock. Yeah. Right. This is the most Steven Spielberg film, or at least the most classic Steven Spielberg film, with the optimism and the approachability and the affability of Close Encounters, of E.T., of that kind of, when you think of the godlight Steven Spielberg, with the kind of the eyes-popping spectacle. It tries to have a little bit of the weight of, say, something a little bit down the line like Minority Report, and say something like Temple of Doom, which kind of had that something a little bit more, a bit of dirt under the fingernails, as it were. But it doesn't quite make that. It's very much more the kind of classic optimism, even to the point where this supposed hellscape that Earth has descended into actually doesn't look that bad. People still have some kind of life, even though they are living it in a VR reality called the Oasis. We follow our hero as he is a gamer, as part of the VR experience, who is trying to find the missing keys or the hidden keys to an Easter egg, which the creator of the Oasis has dotted around the whole landscape. It looks incredible. The first third, in particular, will fry your mind. It just explodes off the screen to the point where you really will be having to go back just to kind of get a grip of what you've seen. I'm trying to, I think Avatar maybe the last time that kind of happened, where stuff was happening all over the place, where it was just so visceral. And to that degree, it holds up as something to watch. The way that I kind of got into it as well was the endorphin hits from seeing pop culture references one after the other, just bouncing in the corner of the screen. I know that, I know that. There's that happening, and I know that character. You almost kind of have a little bit of it takes you a little bit out of the film, perhaps, because you're too busy bouncing off those pop culture references to really kind of get your hands around the story. But that's where the repeated viewings come in. The best, I'm completely spoiler free. I did use an analogy in a Periscope I did today, which I'm not going to use here because it was a little bit crude. It was about a little bit of self-enjoyment that you enjoy while it's happening, but then once you're done, you just kind of are left a little empty. Let me use another analogy. Let's go.
Hey, so you said you weren't going to do it, and then you did it, and now I'm blushing again.
Right. Okay. So let's go somewhere else. In fact, this is possibly the best analogy, because this will just play off the whole Ready Player One pop culture reference. If you remember Star Trek: The Next Generation, if you remember the episode The Game, this was the episode where Riker comes back onto the Enterprise, and he has brought a game which projects VR stuff into his eyes, and he has to, with the power of his mind, he has to get a ball into a cup, and it provides an endorphin rush. At which point he is just hypnotized. That's Ready Player One. That you are just kind of like hit with these endorphin rushes of these pop culture references, and you're just sat there going, I know that reference, I know that reference, and then by the end of it, you're kind of left empty. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yes.
The other analogy is the roller coaster ride. It's a hell of a ride. Go and see this.
Analogies?
I know. I'm sorry. Okay. Go and see this ride. Get on this ride. Enjoy the ride. But I think you'll recognize how you'll feel at the end of it.
It doesn't have a deeper meaning.
No. But I don't think it was supposed to.
Sometimes, that's not a horrible thing to say. Just enjoy the ride. I mean, doesn't that speak to a large majority of summer pop fun movies that are just fun to go see? You know? I mean, it's nice to have some meat to them, like Civil War, absolutely, and Black Panther, and and those types of movies. But sometimes you just go for the ride.
True. I mean, so Lister of Smeg is saying, I feel you ruined the spirit of the film for me. I appreciate that. And I'm trying not to suck the fun out of this, because while you're in there and while you're enjoying the rush of the film, you will enjoy the rush of the film. But don't think that you're going to be getting some deeper meaning out of this. Someone's also talking about Super Katchik as well. Have you read the book? I have read the book. And I described in the Periscope, I was trying to work out whether he was writing it deliberately like a teenager, which doesn't have any filters and just blurts out anything incoherently. And whether it was deliberately written like that, because it is not a great read.
So can I read Andrew English's comment?
Go for it.
He says, Ready Player One sounds like Red Dwarf better than Life Without Rimmer.
I go a little bit, yeah, I go along with that. That's a half decent thing. I think the best, the other thing, I mean, I kind of compare it also to, say, Da Vinci Code. Da Vinci Code has a great concept, ruined by some of the worst English ever committed to paper. It's a terribly written book, but you get the concept works, and that's why we got wrapped into the Da Vinci Code. Ready Player One's the same thing. The concept's there. It's just bad English. That's the book. This, however, while the concept is still there, it's a better representation because it's Steven Spielberg. The man knows how to make a film, and he knows how to deliver those endorphin rushes. That's what I would take from it. I would certainly don't wait to see this on a small screen. Don't wait to see this on a streaming thing. This belongs on the biggest screen you can find, and that's what I take from Ready Player One. I recommend going to see it. Just understand that there's a feeling you're going to get at the end of the film, a little bit of an empty one. So there we go. That's my take on it. So
okay. I just do want to mention, Sir Lister of Smeg said you had mentioned a comment that I feel you ruined the spirit of the film for me, or some other BS just for the sake of BS. So he wasn't being serious. He wanted just to make that point.
Fair enough. Okay.
Just to make sure that you understood that.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. And Karma Savage also lists a bunch of conventions that she is going to be going to.
It's a she.
Okay, sorry.
It's a she. We know Karma. Karma's great.
Okay, never mind. So that's WonderCon, Universal Fan Con in Baltimore, MondoCon. No, MormoCon. What is that? Can you read that?
MomoCon.
The debut of Atlanta Comic-Con in July, run by Imaginarium. They do the toys for younger kids. Is that my understanding of it?
I'm not too sure. I'll have to have a look. MomoCon is this it looks cool. With 31,000 unique and over 84,000 turnstile attendance in 2017. MomoCon is one of the fastest growing all ages conventions of the country. Fans of Japanese anime, American animation, comics, video games, and tabletop games come together to celebrate their passion by costuming, cosplay, browsing the huge exhibition hall, meeting celebrity voice talent. It's basically, and from there on, it describes every other convention going. But still, no, it looks good. It looks fun.
And San Francisco Comic-Con, Tampa Bay Comic-Con, SDCC, and Dragon Con. Wow, Karma Savage, you've got a full list there. What do you do for a real job? Perhaps I should have said that. Sorry.
We'll start wrapping things up, but thank you very much indeed to everyone who has jumped in on the comments. Andrew Dickinson, lots of voice actors go to MomoCon. Dr. Dryhawk is a new name. I haven't seen you on the chat list. Hello there, welcome along. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. It's a good question, actually. I'm perplexed why you thought Ready Player One would be a deep film. The reason why I thought there could be a little bit more substance under the edifice is because Steven Spielberg is a gamer. He's a serious gamer. He is also big in his VR, and he also recognizes what VR can represent. A film can ask some big questions. A television show can ask some big questions. Westworld asks some big questions about the nature of reality, as does Legion. But Westworld also asks about the relationship between ourselves and the next stage of human evolution. The way that Ready Player One could deal with it can talk about how we as humans interact with the real world, whether it is we are so close to wanting and needing an escape, and that VR could provide that. And it can ask those questions. And genre television has always been, and sci-fi has always asked those questions for decades. Yes, as we've also had the comment, Swag Collector, sometimes the orgasm is the experience. Yes, there can be that little bit of so like gratuity, that kind of level, that depth, which isn't there, and sometimes just the ride is worth the price of admission. But I also think that there can be a way of asking some big questions. Ready Player One, I think, had the opportunity, and Spielberg is interested in those questions. That's why I was hoping that there was going to be a little bit more in there. But there we go. Right, I think that's pretty much us. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Next week, of course, is WonderCon, and hopefully we'll have ourselves a live report from that show. We're also hopefully going to be joined by a special guest who's going to be talking about future cons or summer cons as well. And fingers crossed, we're also going to be getting the gentleman behind Walker Stalker Con, who's going to be joining us, but that's down to his timetable. So there we go. I think that's pretty much our show. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Alyssa, where can people find you online?
Our guest, just to go back to this for half a second, our guest next week hopefully will be, is also going to be a panelist at AwesomeCon. I think he's hosting a panel. And so he can also give us a preview of AwesomeCon. I think this will be the third or fourth time he's been there. This is one of the smaller conventions on the East Coast that I've long been interested in.
Sorry, this is Brandon Troy, by the way. Yeah, well, he's a good guy, and looking forward to speaking to him.
Absolutely. He's a really nice guy. Yeah. I'm hoping I can hang out with him more. He's kind of one of those people that I'd love to have a beer with or two. Regardless, people can find me on my Twitter, which is Friends of CCI. I could not get the Friends of CC, so it is Friends of CCI. And you can always find me on my website, both the blog and the forum, at friendsofcc.com.
Excellent stuff. And for myself, you can find me on most of the social medias at Englishman SDCC. You can also follow what I get up to on anenglishmaninsandiego.com, and also on the updates that we put every once in a while on the Patreon page, patreon.com/EnglishmanSDCC, which is where we do invite you to throw a couple of pennies into the pot and allow us to keep the lights on and keep doing what we do. Allow us to attend conventions, bring reports, do live reports. Please do donate where you can to patreon.com/EnglishmanSDCC. Before we do go, I'm going to do one last update, which has been shared via an email that I got while we were on air. If you are a fan of a certain, let me just see if I can just bring this up, of a certain film that's due, which is of course the rather mighty Avengers. What I would suggest is, if you have somebody who is a Brit that happens to have a subscription to Empire magazine, you may want to try and see if they can get you a spare copy of their subscription cover. Because if I can just bring this up, oh, good grief, it's maybe scrolled a little bit too far there. Hang on. Sorry, bear with me. Sorry, this is where this computer is now deciding to really play games with me. Do you want to talk about something really quickly?
No.
Oh, you wouldn't. Oh, fine. Hang on there.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I just so
it's okay. I think I've got it. I just didn't want to put anything on screen which was incriminating. But
oh,
ladies and gentlemen, that is the subscription cover for Empire magazine.
Right. I want a poster of that.
Isn't that very pretty?
Yeah, I could see that as a Mondo poster. If that was a Mondo poster, 24 by 36, that would go up on the wall.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous of Thanos.
Isn't that nice? So there we go. Just thought I'd share that before we finish. Right. Thank you very much indeed. Once again, Brandon Troy will be our guest. Hopefully, we'll also have the organizer behind Walker's Talkin, and hopefully we'll also have our live report from WonderCon next week. If you are going to Anaheim, have yourself a great time. And do let us know what you see and what you get up to. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, from us to you, we'll hopefully see you next Sunday. Alyssa, we'll take care and we'll see you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye, everybody.